You're sitting in a shallow cave in what's now South Africa. It's roughly 1 million years ago. No phone flashlight, no streetlights 3 miles down the road, no 2 a.m. fridge light to comfort you when you can't sleep. Just you, a small fire, and a wall of black pressing in from every direction. Somewhere out there, something with better night vision than you is deciding whether tonight's the night. You are, for all your big brain and your clever hands, prey. And that one fact explains more about human history than almost anything else we'll talk about today. Here's what this video is actually about. Why the dark terrified your ancestors so completely that the fear never fully left your DNA. And what that ancient terror is quietly doing to you right now, tonight, under your blankets, glowing phone in hand. Here's the thing nobody tells you. It's not really about monsters. We love to joke that fear of the dark is some leftover superstition, cavemen scared of shadows, and campfire stories. That's not the real explanation. That's the cartoon version. The real explanation is colder, more mathematical, and honestly more interesting. Fear of the dark was a rational, evidence-based survival strategy, calculated by evolution over millions of years of very bad nights. So let's talk about the actual mechanism first, because you need this to understand everything else. Human eyes are garbage in low light, not an insult, just biology. Our retinas are packed with cone cells, the receptors that handle color and fine detail in bright light, and comparatively few rod cells, the receptors that work in dim conditions. Cats, owls, hyenas, the animals actually built for nighttime, have eyes stacked with rods and a reflective layer called the tapetum lucidum that bounces light back through the retina for a second pass. We don't have that layer. We never did. Which means for most of human evolutionary history, night wasn't just inconvenient. It was the one time of day when the predators could see you and you couldn't see them. That asymmetry right there is the whole story. Now, here's where it gets interesting. This isn't speculation. There's a chronological trail of hard evidence showing exactly how humans fought back against the dark, one small technological miracle at a time. Start around 1 million years ago at Wonderwerk Cave in South Africa. In 2012, researcher Francesco Berna and his team published evidence of burned bone and ash sediments deep inside the cave, confirmed through microscopic analysis to have been burned in place rather than washed in. Some of the earliest solid proof of controlled fire use by early humans. Fire wasn't just for cooking. It was the first version of a porch light. Jump forward to roughly 300,000 years ago at Kesem Cave in Israel. Researchers led by Ruth Shahat Gross identified repeated, localized hearths, the same fire pits used again and again in the same spot, suggesting fire wasn't an occasional lucky accident anymore. It was routine, scheduled, a nightly appointment with the only thing standing between early humans and whatever was circling the perimeter. Push forward again to around 100,000 years ago, and you get Blombos Cave, also South Africa, where archaeologists found engraved ochre and shell beads. Decorative, symbolic behavior. Interesting on its own, but paired with growing evidence of increasingly organized, firelit social gathering. Groups weren't just surviving the dark anymore. They were using firelight to sit together, talk, maybe tell the very first ghost stories, while something unseen coughed in the brush outside the glow. And it might go back even further than any of that. Some researchers argue for fire use evidence, admittedly more contested, more fragmentary, stretching toward 1.5 million years at sites like Kobifora in Kenya. The dating there is messier, the sediment disturbance harder to rule out, and honestly, scientists genuinely disagree on it, which is worth admitting up front because not everything in this story is settled science. Let's ground this with one specific, real case study. In 2015, sleep researcher Jerome Siegel and colleagues published a landmark study in Current Biology tracking sleep patterns in 3 modern hunter-gatherer societies: the Hadza of Tanzania, the San of Namibia, and the Simene of Bolivia, groups living without electric light, without alarm clocks, without screens. What they found upended a lot of assumptions. These groups didn't sleep the second the sun went down. They stayed awake around the fire for hours after dusk, socializing, and their bodies still treated true darkness, the deep, moonless, fireless kind, as a distinctly different, more alert state than firelit evening. In other words, even today, humans instinctively know that fire dark and true dark are not the same thing. One is community, the other is a threat assessment. Here's an adjacent fact that'll mess with your head a little. Anthropologists studying predator attacks on early hominids point to fossil evidence, like the famous Tongchild skull from South Africa, showing puncture marks matching eagle talons, suggesting our ancestors weren't just worried about lions and hyenas on the ground. Aerial predators hunted us too, which means the ancient fear of the dark wasn't one-directional threat. It was a 360-degree, top-and-bottom paranoia, and honestly, given the fossil record, that paranoia was earned. But here's the problem: that ancient wiring didn't get the memo that we invented streetlights. Let's talk about the uncomfortable modern turn, because this is where the ancient terror gets ironic. You now live in a world objectively safer at night than any point in human history. No saber-toothed cats, no aerial ambush predators, locked doors, alarm systems, streetlights on every block. And yet, sleep researchers consistently find that a huge portion of modern adults report heightened anxiety specifically at night, worse insomnia, racing thoughts that seem to arrive right on schedule the second the lights go off. Some of that is genuinely just ancient circuitry misfiring in a context it was never built for. A smoke detector going off because you burn toast, not because the house is on fire. And some of it is self-inflicted. We've replaced the ancestral firelight, warm, dim, social, with cold blue light from phones and screens, the exact wavelength that most aggressively suppresses melatonin production, the hormone your brain uses to signal, it's safe, wind down, sleep now. So we've built a world where the actual predators are gone, but we've engineered a new obstacle that convinces our brains nighttime is still somehow dangerous, or at least never fully restful. So, back to the original question, why did ancient humans fear the dark? Partly it's simple. Worse night vision than the things hunting them, full stop, no ambiguity there. But the deeper, honest answer is that we don't know the exact moment fear of the dark became fear of the dark, specifically, as opposed to just general vigilance that happened to peak at night. The evidence gives us a strong outline. Bad eyes, real predators, fire is the first fix, but the precise psychological switch, the one that turned dark, is when predators hunt into the specific dread you feel walking to your car in an empty parking garage, is something researchers are still piecing together. Real science, done honestly, admits that gap instead of papering over it. Think about that for a second. Every time you flick on a light switch without thinking about it, you're performing an action that took your ancestors roughly 1 million years, several extinct hominin species, and God knows how many bad nights to figure out how to do badly with sticks and ash. That switch on your wall is the end product of the single longest-running research project in the history of your species. How do we make the dark less lethal? You just do it with your finger now. They did it by babysitting a flame for hours, so it wouldn't go out and get everyone killed. And that's the thing worth sitting with. You are right now tonight carrying around a nervous system built by creatures who survived specifically because they were afraid of the dark. The unease you feel flipping off the bedroom light isn't a glitch. It's an inheritance. It's your great however many times grandparent, still awake, still listening, still glad the fire's still burning. You're not scared of the dark. You're remembering it. What's the first thing you do when the power goes out at night? Tell me in the comments.